Hands for sure. Loft depends. High tide if you know what you're looking for. Muji, nope. And Kyukyodo, yes, but not for the reason you think. There's a surprise waiting for you if you decide to head here. These are my hot takes on every stationery store I visited in Shibuya. That list was the short version. Here's the long one. I started my day at Hands. Before this trip, never heard of it, never heard of Hands, and now I am a Hands fan. This is the flagship store. There are different levels, and the stationery is located on the fifth floor, but it's a strange layout with mezzanine floors scattered about. First impressions, it looked almost sterile, what with the fluorescent lighting and underwhelming office style space. But later on, I think it actually worked in Hans's favor. I was here during the calendar season, so a lot of the main display space was taken up by calendars and 2026 dated notebooks. But so far, so boring. They did have a well-stocked Travelers Company section, a plotter section, and of course Hobonichi. But after coming back from the Travelers factory stores and the Tobichi store, I was looking for something more. And I actually found it in their art and sticker section. Oh my gosh, the art section. Okay, so I am not an artist. I struggle with painting, I struggle with sketching. So my opinion on anything art related is pretty amateurish. So from an amateur's point of view, I thought this art section was incredible. The go-to place for art supplies in Tokyo is apparently Sekaido, which is in Shinjuku. I never got round to that store, hopefully next time. But if you aren't looking for anything specific, Han seems to have it all. The stationery floor is actually quite large, and with the mezzanine, the way they have arranged the floor is that you've got one section specific just to your office supplies, such as your rulers, your staplers, your office paper. And then you have one section that's dedicated entirely to art supplies, and this includes also your craft section, your journal section, your calendar section, and then you've got another mezzanine floor that deals entirely with stickers and stamps and all of the fun bits that I could relate to. A big thing that stood out with Hands compared to other stationery stores that I had been to was the variety in range. Now, at this point, I had already been to the Loft store in Ueno. I had visited other stationery stores, not just on this trip, but also during my previous trips to Japan. So I'm quite familiar with what's usually available. And of all the stationery stores I have been to, Hands has the widest variety when it comes to range in design. They have different styles of stickers, different styles of washi tape, art supplies, stationery supplies. For example, at Loft, they had a whole wall of stickers, which we'll see in a minute, but the designs and aesthetic were quite similar. Even though stickers were from different companies, they all looked the same. I also noticed that Hands stocked a lot more products and SKU from a brand compared to Loft. But then Loft did have some more niche brands, probably newer brands that I didn't see at Hands. So Hands may have fewer newer brands compared to Loft, but it has a wider range of products within, the brands that it stocks. While Loft has a wider variety of newer upcoming brands, but sells a smaller catalog of products under those brands. As I mentioned earlier, Hands had craft items as well, something I didn't see at any other stationery store, except maybe Itoya. You can check out my extensive video on Itoya where I walk through all the floors and share my thoughts on whether it's worth a trip during your precious limited vacation time. If you love stickers and you're looking for variety, hands wins, hands down. I bet you saw that coming. Their selection was the best I had seen across any of the stores. By the way, on the ground floor, not the stationery floor, they sell these cute little Japanese themed patches. So if you're interested, make sure you give this a look. After that, I decided to head to Loft's flagship store, which is close by. It's a 5-minute walk from this hand store. Before that, I popped into Muji to look at their stationery section, and it was sparse. Poor Muji. In any other city, any other country, I would have been salivating over their stationery shelf. But here I was just a little underwhelmed. Anyway, the go-to place for Muji stationery would be at their Ginza flagship store. And on the other end of the underwhelmed spectrum, here I am at Loft being completely overwhelmed. Remember how I said earlier that I thought hands look so sterile? Well, this is the exact opposite. It's a visual assault. I almost got a headache from all the times I kept shifting my eyes from one shelf to the other so quickly. Now, at hands, because of the stark contrast of the white walls and the fluorescent lighting, the stationery stood out more, and I was able to visually process what I was seeing. Here, the crowd, the lights, it was too overstimulating for me. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but it's not that calm, therapeutic experience I was expecting with stationery shopping. Stationery is therapeutic, right? The calm colors, the scent of a new notebook, that crinkle of fresh paper. So, yeah, I was getting none of that out here. This is almost like an amusement park for stationery, loud and a little bit too much. Now, this being the flagship store, I did see a lot more products here than what I saw at the smaller branches. But on the flip side, some of the items were sold out. This is probably the most popular loft store in the city. So this is probably the first pit stop for stationery lovers, and inventory probably moves here pretty quickly. These folders called Bind, they're by Clear Tape, I believe. Now, I was really tempted to buy these. I've been thinking about them for a while, but I can't justify purchasing them when I don't know what I'd use them for. A lot of people use them to store stickers. There is a sticker obsession sweeping through Japan right now. So they're good for storing them, I guess, but it's not what I'd use it for. But I love the concept of having a clear journal. I don't know what I would do with it though, that's the only thing. This is a bougier version of a clear folder. It's by Let's Goods, and it's got leather trimmings which account for the price that it charges. When I was here, there was a activation space for the little Eric calendars and stickers. I had seen people line up outside the store before opening hours, and I think it was because of this, because people wanted to get their hands on these pieces. Little Eric, I think, is a relatively new brand in the world of stationery, and I love the illustrations. They're actually quite cute, and I love the concept of these peel-off calendars. This was my only stationery regret from Japan, not having picked up these calendars by Little Eric. And when I went back home and looked for it online, it had already been sold out at all of the retailers that would ship to my area. So I ended up getting the Himikuri calendar stickers instead, and they have actually worked out beautifully. I think they actually suit my journaling style a lot more than the ones from Little Eric. Calendar season is almost upon us. Japanese companies tend to release their calendar sets for the following year in towards end of September, early October. So if you are looking for a particular calendar set by a Japanese artist or by a Japanese company, make sure you keep a lookout for it starting September. I keep coming back to plotter. Every time I spotted a plotter gondola anywhere in the stores, I would rush to it and rummage through it, thinking about how I could possibly use this in my existing journal system. I'm really intrigued by it, given that it's built around project management. And since that's what I do in my day job, I wanted to give it a shot, but I'm not sure if it's worth the USD $250 a shot. So, still thinking about that. I am a traveler's company notebook ride or die. You know this very well at this point, but so many of these journals just stood out to me. They are so cute and they're so adorable. And there are these triggers that you don't even know existed. For example, look at this one. All it says is hug your days, and that makes me want to buy the notebook. I have lots of notebooks, but not one that says hug your days or I'm creative, and I feel that. I feel these quotes, so I want them. I really want them. Now, in this point of time, I was veering towards stationery fatigue. I visited the Loft flagship store towards the end of my trip, and I had already seen everything I wanted to see stationery wise. So I was kind of jaded going in, which is not fitting for the Loft flagship store, right? It deserves more reverence than that. But everything, especially the sticker and the washi section, was, meh. Seen that, bought that. And I'm sure if I'd come here on day one, I would have been a lot more excited, but I didn't really end up spending that much time here. After an energizing coffee and pastry break, I headed to High Tide, which is about 5 or 6 minutes away from the Loft flagship store. Now, looking back, I wish I had looked up the High Tide website to see what they had beforehand. I thought it was just another stationery store, but it's more of a lifestyle store selling bags, pins, and stationery. They had a lot of interesting things, but I was so overwhelmed by the amount of stationery I had visually consumed that day that I just wasn't in the mood to browse. Which is a damn shame because looking back, there are a few things I would have liked to pick up. Seeing these clips again, I see a lot of things from High Tide I would have loved to get. But that's why you research. That's why you look at videos such as mine to understand what to get. You plan ahead. My last stop at Shibuya was Kyukyodo at the Shibuya Scramble Square. I really wanted to see this because it's the oldest stationery company in Japan, having started in 1663. Now, first impression, I was disappointed. Really, it looked like a duty free store at an airport where they have lots of magnets and lots of bric-a-brac that you end up picking up for friends and family when you're rushing to the boarding gates. I had high hopes for this particular store because the flagship store in Kyoto is supposed to be really beautiful. There were a lot of calligraphy pens, gift wrapping paper, cards, etc., stickers as well, but nothing that really caught my eye. But then I came across their incense section. I love incense and they have a very good range, very unique scents, which I can't really explain because it's all in Japanese. I picked up one in rose. And I also picked up one of these beautiful gold embossed fans, which are supposed to be greeting cards. But I'm going to be selfish. I'm not going to use that as a greeting card to give to anyone. This is all for me. I'm going to plonk it on my writing desk and admire it whenever I see it. Some of the items here were definitely unique. I didn't see a lot of these pieces at any of the stationery stores. So Kyukyodo specializes in Japanese paper. So definitely check Kyukyodo out if that's something you want to see. And if you're in Kyoto, definitely check out the flagship store there. Now, of all the stationery stores I visited in Shibuya, I would list the Kyukyodo store as the one that you can miss. because there's a larger one at Ginza, and you would anyway be going to Ginza to check out Itoya or the Muji flagship store, etc. So when you're in Ginza, you might as well pop into Kokoido. But just next to Kokoido is the Tsutaya bookstore. Here you've got more stationery, pens, books, etc. Now, Tsutaya is well known for having these beautifully designed bookstores. I went to the flagship at Dakayama, and it was such a delightful experience browsing through all the books in such a beautiful green, well lit space. This is nothing like that. Okay, it's parked next to a super busy Starbucks. But it's here that I discovered the Share Lounge. The Share Lounge is run by Tsutaya, and it's a co working space. For a couple hundred yen, you can plonk yourself at this spot overlooking Shibuya, and you can purchase coffee, food, alcohol as well. And they also have an all you can drink Starbucks option, which I haven't seen anywhere else. Because it's located on the 15th floor, you get incredible views of Shibuya from here, if you're lucky enough to snag one of the window seats. And I think it would have been such a great space for me to zone out and edit my videos or do some co working stuff in this space. My clips aren't doing justice to this because obviously I didn't go in, but just know that this is a great space with incredible views of Shibuya. On the same floor next to Tsutaya are a couple of lifestyle stores that I think are worth browsing through if you have the time. There are some really quirky products here, such as this toothbrush that doesn't require toothpaste, and these Lucky Charm dolls that contain a fortune inside them. I ended up getting more incense sticks from here. And there is also a fashion jewelry store here where you can create your own charm jewelry. I ended up picking a few charms to decorate my traveler's company notebooks with. So in the end, while the Kokoido store at Shibuya Scramble Square is a miss, I'm so glad I went here because I discovered a great spot to work from and also some really cool lifestyle stores, all located on the same floor. So let's answer the question. You've got a limited number of days in Tokyo, Shibuya is on your list, and you want to know where to spend your time and what you can skip. The Hand's flagship store, worth your time without question, especially if you're into art supplies, craft, or stickers. It's the widest variety I've found in a single store. The layout works in its favor once you get used to it. And if you like having room to breathe while you browse, Hands gives you that. Loft flagship store, worth it as well. If this is your first stop, you'd love it. If you've already hit the other Loft stores, then you might find yourself a bit numb to it. High Tide is worth it only if you do your homework first. If you know their range and there's something specific you want, it's a great shop. If you walk in blind expecting a stationery store like I did, you're going to come out confused and a little disappointed. Look them up, make a short list, and then go. Muji at Shibuya, you can skip this one. Nothing against them, just nothing there for me. If you've been and disagree, let me know in the comments. Maybe I missed something. And Kokoido, go but not for the stationery. Go for the incense, the paper fans, the little traditional things you won't find anywhere else. But I would skip this location if you're likely to be heading to Ginza for Itoya, so save Kokoido for then. But if you do come here, make sure you walk around the 15th floor to see the other stores and maybe check out the Share Lounge. It's one of the best spots in the city and almost nobody in the stationery community talks about it. As always, if this video helped you plan your Tokyo stationery trip, I'd love to know in the comments. You can also watch my video on the Ultimate Tokyo Stationery Guide for tips on how to plan your trip. And if you've been to any of these stores and your experience was completely different from mine, tell me. I definitely want to know. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!